Good morning. This is Jackie, my Apex Training. Thank you for spending a few moments out of your days for today's discussion and how to set up for an optimal back squat. The back squat is the king of lifts. It just engages all your muscles. There's a little bit of latitude or give in which you may be able to shift your body mechanics a little bit and still be able to muster out the last 2-3 reps, that it is a bit more forgiving than a front squat. Whereas in a front squat, if you're off by a little bit, that's all she wrote and down the weight goes. So, but in terms of a back squat, I've seen this performed in probably 10 to 12 different ways, and more often not improperly. But when you're in a commercial gym, it's kind of hard to just tap someone on the shoulder in the middle of the set as they're kind of all squatting crazy, doing barely quarter squats, to them like trying to prematurely set themselves up for a back surgery in their 50s. It is what it is. But getting back into the focus of things, one of my friends had inquired, "You always do the videos on the side. Why not one in the front?" I go, "Well, you get the best angles from a coaching eyes, from the lateral side of the lifter. From that way you can see where the spine is positioned, where the hips are relative to their feet, where the shoulders are at. So you get more of a accurate visual as to what their body mechanics are versus head on. But I will do this one head on. It will be beneficial to just see where the hands and the feet are set. So backing up a little bit. So when you get ready to do your back squat, what you want to look for is a true bar. You want to make sure the bar is fairly straight. You may not have the best spin because you are not doing any type of snatches or clean and jerk where you need that spin on the collar. So and for the purpose of the back squat, what you want to look for is really a pretty straight bar, because it will really be an undesirable situation as you're coming halfway through an amazing squat and all of a sudden the bar does a little bit of flip because your center of gravity shifts a little bit. And if it does that flip, it will throw the center of the gravity of the bar off a little bit, and which makes the lift typically more complicated, or you might end up losing the lift. So that's what I look for, is a true bar. Maybe with a little bit of knurling, if you can get a little bit of that roughness, the coarseness. Sometimes bars over time and the quality of the bars that are provided may have too smooth of a surface, so you may have to consider like bringing in some chalk discreetly and kind of putting some on your shoulders, like right over the upper trapezius area, just so you have a little bit of traction. I advise not doing back squats in your tank tops. Try to bring a short sleeve shirt so you actually have a little grab and traction for the bar. Nothing worse than having the bar kind of slide up and down as on a summer's day, then you're doubling your effort here. So getting back to the squat. So when you approach the bar where your hands are draped, what you want to do is from the side, I'll get a little bit closer so you can see me, is that you want to bring your shoulder blades, you want to pinch your shoulder blades together. And so what that does is that makes it for an easier rack with your hands. Okay, so what I tell my athletes, okay, so just put your shoulder blades in the back pocket. So what that does, that brings your shoulder blades together and down, it lifts your chest up, so that makes it easier for you to rack the bar. So once you do that, your hands will actually kind of go back into the side, and you grab the bar while you're actually pinching your shoulder blades in the back. That's how I teach my athletes. So you're doing that, you come into the bar, and you shoulder up into the bar, and then from there, stand up. And then you take 3 steps back, and it's really important that you keep your feet just slightly wider than shoulder width, toe it out a little bit. What that does allows your femurs, your thigh muscle, your thigh bones to rotate out, so you can get actually a deeper squat. Okay. So what I find too often is when people have a narrow stance, it's really hard to kind of squat down and keep your pelvic position where it ought to be, which is slightly what I call an anterior tilt. So I don't want to get too fancy-pantsy, but when you squat, I occasionally see people like round their back and they're sinking down their hips, and now I got all this extraordinary pressure on the small of your back. So having lifting shoes are very important. It's not a deal breaker. Sometimes you'll see people slip a 2.5 pound weight or a nickel plate in the back, so they kind of back up to it and set their heels on that. I find that takes away from your lift, because now you're kind of, it's like backing up blindly. You're just kind of scooting back and you got this load on your back and you're trying to get set up. So And nowadays you can buy a decent pair of lifting shoes for like $70, which is like, what is that, like $5 a month or something. So anyways, that's what I would do is invest in a pair of decent shoes and be mindful of the 3 things of the back squat. And that would be your shoulder positioning, okay? And then when you get onto the bar, you know, make sure you're grabbing the bar symmetrically, that you're not off-centered, you know. Even when you duck down, make sure you duck down under, straight under. If you have to adjust yourself, you know, just bear in mind, it's better off just to back off, adjust the bar and reset. Because just because you're scooting the bar over and your feet are planted, now you're like, you know, lifting crooked, that's terrible for the spine. Okay, you got to preserve your back. All right, so once you get into the bar, and you stand up with the bar, and take these 3, I say 3 steps, it's just keep it routine, so you're not doing like 2 steps one time and 4 steps the other. Just keep it so that becomes automatic, okay? And so once you get to here, it's a okay? So when you're doing the lift, you want to be mindful when you're taking your breath in. You're kind of restraining the breath because that inner thoracic pressure helps to protect your spine, and it gives you a nice push up. As you sink down, just kind of let go a little bit and then come back up. So come down, let go a little bit, and come back up, so that you're incorporating the use of the spindle fiber reflex, as well as like allowing the Golgi tendon reflex to kind of relax your muscles before you rebound up. It's just the same concept of pulling a rubber band back and allowing to kind of, when you let go, there's a lot of stored energy. So when it comes up, like when the rubber band snaps, it moves. So when you come down on your squat, you kind of ease down a little bit and just kind of retighten and come back up, and you'll find that you'll come back up more easily. So hopefully that wasn't like a merry-go-round way of explaining how to back squat, but again, just to recapture on the points, make sure you have a nice straight bar. Doesn't necessarily have to have a beautiful spin on there. You want a little coarseness on here. If there isn't, you might want to pack some chalk, or just make sure you have a nice short sleeve, a cotton t-shirt. Try to avoid the spandex and the polyester stuff, because it's kind of slippery of that type of material. Where your shoulder blades pinch back, grab the bar like you own it, tuck your head underneath, set your shoulders up in there, 3 steps back, feet slightly wider than shoulder width, toed out, and okay? All right, so there you have it. Thank you for joining me for the tutorial on how to back squat optimally. My best back squat, weighing 160 pounds, was 160 kilos, which is 352 pounds. It was like breaking parallel, like down to the ground and back up. So anyways, enjoy yourselves, be safe, and have fun. This is Jackie My Apex Training, signing off for today.